everybody. Happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. I'm Eric. I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we just hang out and talk about whatever we want to talk about, app related or business related or whatever. We've been doing it every Monday this year. Last year it was every Friday, and we just sort of hang out and talk. Although it's a bit different this week because we set up the Discord server earlier this week. So I've had a lot of conversations with people just randomly throughout without, like on a one-on-one basis, which has been kind of fun. I mean, last week I didn't know very much about Discord. Some people have said, you should think about setting up a Discord server and everything like that. And I was like, why? I mean, it was like kind of thing I didn't quite understand. So it's been a bit of a learning curve, and it's been fun. So, and other than that, it's huge news here in England. We got the lockdown is lifting a little bit today. So from today, the gyms have been open. So I've already been to the gym. The barbershops have been open. I got a haircut. All non-essential shops are open. And restaurants and pubs are open, but only for sitting outside. So, that's kind of thing. And that might be what I go do after this, after the live stream tonight. So, and I was tempted to not do the live stream just for that reason. But anyway, so for those of you who joined, thanks very much. Wow, 8 thumbs down. Thanks. You guys love me. All right, so let's see who's here. Let's see. Ahmed is here. Let's see. First comment. Hello, Eric. How are you? I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks. Let's get this, resize this here. Yeah, for me, it's been, it's kind of a busy week, but it's been very optimistic. So I've got, some client projects that I'm working on that are just about finishing up. Which is good. It's good to see that stuff happening and a lot of new stuff coming in. So it's going good. Celtic Whispers, what's up? What's up, Celtic Whispers? G Henry, hey, how's it going, G Henry? Morandir is here. How's it going, Morandir? Ayush Pai, straight from the Discord. Yes, thanks for joining over from the Discord. Okay, this is another thing. Let me know if this bothers you. For those of you guys who are on the Discord channel, I wasn't quite sure if I should do this. I did put an announcement in there to everybody saying, hey, the live stream is starting. So if that really annoys you, let me know. I won't do that next time. But, like Ayush, we had a bit of a conversation this week on the voice channel. Maybe we should go through the Discord server a little bit today too, for those of you guys who have trouble getting your heads around it. For some reason I did, even though it seems to be, now that I'm actually using it, it seems to be pretty easy. John 33, 6 thumbs down. Really? Now we got 8. We got 8 thumbs down. Dude, some people just don't like me, and I could say that it wounds me. I wish I could say I had thicker skin, but a hater's gonna hate. Yeah. Well, that's all right. Yeah, I mean, if it was something I'd said, then yeah, I guess it would bother me, but. I had a few thumbs down before we even started. So it's not what I've said. It's not what this channel is about. It's about me personally. So, dude, that's way worse. Gord Funk, oh, we're up, Gord Funk. Kevin Harthorne, hey, Eric, how you doing? I'm doing good. It's good. The sun is shining. It was snowing this morning. I got up early because I was excited to go to the gym, which I'm not normally excited to go, but it's open. So I went there this morning. It was snowing, just surprisingly, really snowing, it stuck to the ground and everything. And then all of a sudden, it warmed up and everything like that. And it's beautiful outside now. But I've been working on this Firebase. I've been working on this Flutter Firebase project, and it's kind of I'm at one of those stages where sometimes you just getting stuff done. Everything works right away, and it's just it's perfect. Everything is just rolling. And then you got other times you got a little bit of a state issue. So basically, it's kind of thing. I mean, I'm telling you this not because I'm looking for an answer, but because this is the kind of stuff that every so often you'll get to. I've got a calendar view. I've got a table calendar in Flutter, and I've got the list of items below it. So when you click on the table, it shows the list below it. But when you first come to that page, I want to do that first. But I've got something with the delay of loading it from Firebase. I'm trying to trigger that event, but I don't think there's a trigger for that. And so that's kind of one of those things, which I'll find a solution for. There's always a solution out there, but it's just one of those things where the easy stuff sometimes seems like it just takes longer just to get stuck into it. Theo Taylor is in the house. Hey, Theo, how's it going? And Mr. Bean is here. Hi, sir. How are you? Doing good. I'm doing really good. Let's see. Yerner Tagalti, why so many dislikes? I think it's maybe my accent. I don't know what it is. Well, you guys can't tell if I smell, but I don't know. 8 downvotes. There aren't even some people here. I don't know. Yeah, some people just, well, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to let it get to me. We're just going to do what we normally do. I left the startup and joined a more established company. It's been fantastic. Cool. All right, let's talk about the pros and cons of joining a startup. The pros are you get to do everything. You have your voice carries more weight. I was in a startup, like my second IT job, and that wasn't the case. It sucked because there was the managing directors were married, and then and then one of the other directors was like the brother. So it was kind of like this thing where I would never be part of one of the main team, and it was like a really small company, but it was kind of like, you're just this commodity developer and all this kind of stuff, and that was kind of thing where I didn't quite like. But I've worked in large organizations too, where it's, you got nice lunch breaks, you've got all the amenities, you got a lot of bureaucracy. So like if you want to set up a database, you got to go through like another team. If you want to set up like something, like you're trying to do your best as a software developer. You want to have some cool stuff, but then you go through like, infrastructure teams say, no, we're not going to support that. No, we're not going to allow you to do that on the server. No, we're not going to open up that port, that kind of stuff. So, but there's pros and cons, but cool. I'm glad you like that. Northern Lights says, thanks for creating a Discord, man. Thanks. Northern Lights, have I seen you on there? I'd like, yeah. So, if you're on the Discord server every so often, and I'm going to try to do this more often because I did the other day where I'll go into the social VC chat, which is social voice chat. And then if you go in there, we could have a talk. I was sharing my screen, and I was kind of just trying to do some coding, and then I was trying to do some live coding, because I've been watching all these YouTube channels of these YouTubers who are doing like live coding of, there's a lot of Xamarin guys and Flutter guys. I don't know if you guys watch like Flutter. We'll take this design from Figma or like an existing application, and we'll do it all in Flutter, and you get to see how the thought process works, and it's really, really interesting. And I'm always amazed when people are like live coding how there's no swearing involved. There's never like why is this thing not working? But that doesn't happen that often. But let's see. Morris Taylor, is Discord free? Yeah, Morris. Yeah, I was gonna put. This is it. So I was talking to somebody about it. I put it in the description of of a bunch of the old videos, and I was like, should I put that the Discord server is free, or is that like a thing that everybody just knows is free? Like it's not. It's just you could just join in and on it. It's like it's more. It's not something that's making me money. It's more, and it's not something that I want to be the focus of. I think it should be more like. We're developers, like we could get together. So if you put something into the group, I may not answer it like that. And that was one of my big things where I thought about not doing it, because we did the Facebook group, and it seemed like a lot of the times the Facebook group was like people were asking me questions directly, and I'd rather have something where it was a community where developers could get together, we could discuss stuff. Now, I know there's loads of other communities out there like that, but also one where it's not sponsored by like an ASO company or something that like there's no I'm not trying to sell anything on that channel, so it's not subscription based. It's just just join if you want. You can join if you want to. You can leave your friends behind, but if your friends don't dance, they don't dance, so they're no friends of mine. But more style, yes, it is free. Thanks, yes. They must be downvoting your haircut. Dude, that must be what it is. Oh man, do I look like a Great. Morris, why'd you have to say that, man? Okay, yeah, maybe they downgraded my haircut. I was just, I was cutting my hair there for a while, and let's see. Trending 10. Hey, how's it going, Trending 10? Benjamin Carlog says you should add a link to the Discord message /lazy. There is one. There should be one in the description of the video that you're watching right now. So, yeah, if you look at the description, let me know if I'm wrong. But when I set up the live stream, it's part of the standard description, so that Discord is in there. I could put it on the screen, but you can't click on it anyway. So I don't know if that would really be helpful. So you'd have to actually type it in there. But there is a link to the Discord in the description of the thing. And if anybody has that link, if you want to put it in the comments, you could do that. I don't have it handy next to me. Let's see. Actually, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. I mean, let me open up Evernote. But yes, all right, Benjamin. Yes, lazy. Okay, you got me. That is something I do hate to. Let me put that in there. Cool. All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Benjamin. Cordfunk, do you have a 4-year degree? Most bigger companies still require them. Is that the well? I got a job at an investment bank and I had a 4-year degree, but it was in history. So I don't know. I think if you have a good portfolio, I think it would probably get you a long way. Celtic Whispers ask, quick question: what's the best beginner guide for learning Firebase basics like event tracking? Thanks. For me, you know what it was? It was watching the YouTube channel, the Firebase YouTube channels, like the because I did Fireship.io. So Fireship.io does all the Angular Fire and all that kind of stuff, and he's got really good videos, and I like them because they're punchy. And I even bought the course for Angular and Firebase. What I found was he's too clever. Like he's thinking too. Sometimes when you're watching a tutorial and you're thinking, he's thinking too far above my skill level. Like he's going, okay, then you could add provider pattern in here, and then you could do this stuff, and you're thinking, okay, like connecting to Firebase is like really what I want to get to first. Like, is that kind of, that's sometimes, and I find this sometimes in computer books too, where the programmer is trying to obfuscate libraries, which is cool, but when you're just learning the basics, you don't need that extra layer of like helper functions is a good example. Like I wrote this helper function, so I only have to ever do this once, and then they're relying so much on the helper function, and then you can't follow the code unless you go and rewrite all their helper functions. That kind of stuff was happening in the Fireship.io tutorial. So what I found was just going through the Firebase tutorials, and they're not necessarily Flutter related or Xamarin related or whatever, but they're just like right. So there's a really good one there on writing unit tests with Karma, which is the unit testing framework to test out the permissions on the Firebase rule, on the Firestore rules, which is like Firestore rules is kind of something that I was like, oh, do I have to do that? Can I just like not do it? But no, it's like I guess it's important that people can't just go and update your database without having permissions. So going through and writing unit tests for that. So being able to test the users and everything like that. That was a really good one that was on there. But then also just like knowing the difference between reads and like when you're reading a document and writing it in Firebase real-time database. I think I talked about this before. I like exceeded the free tier like within the first couple of days on this one project because we were downloading the entire node tree and then updating it, and it got really expensive really, really fast. But with Firestore, we don't get that because we're focusing more on reads. And then also, there's really good tutorials there on how to structure it. So for me, coming from a SQL background where I'm thinking, you don't repeat yourself. If you have data listed more than once, you don't put the same data in two different places. You put the key so that you can reference that table. You can easily do those joins, which is not always so easy to do in Firestore or in like NoSQL databases. Sometimes it's easier just to like chuck a string in there just so like just for that to work. But I still like to just put the key in and reference the key. For me that was the one that I liked the best. Training test. I'm a startup company. Is anyone here to collaborate with me? I don't know. I don't have any experience related to IT. So okay, well, anybody can jump on that if they want. Let's see. Nope, don't need it. Been programming for ages, so don't need a 4-year degree. Let's see. Wildfire Game says, "Hey Eric, it was great chatting with you and Ravi on Discord. Gutted I missed the live coding session, bro. it wasn't really a live coding. It was like it was kind of like the way I was going to do it. I thought I'm working on this client project, and it's not so it's one where the client, so I have several clients, and I would never like share like the screen with somebody, but it was like one where I was given permission. It was like the boxing app. So I was like, just thought, well, this would be like a good one to do it. But in the end, it was like when somebody else came onto the channel, we just had a chat about that. So it wasn't, yeah, but it would be kind of fun to do something like that. But I'd also get nervous about live coding because, you know, there's times where you're coding and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this everything really well. So like, and then there's other times where you're just like messing about, like, let's see if this connects, and then you're like, okay, now let me go and refactor all that kind of stuff. You know, there's the code that you're writing, and then there's the refactored code, and the refactored code is the one that you want people to see sometimes. Chordfunks, same here, skipped 4-year degree. I think I need a degree eventually. 30 plus, but I think I need a degree eventually. I don't know, is that really, I would imagine, like, if you were somebody coming out with a degree, and I've always, I do have a degree. My degree was in history. This is one of the reasons why I question how necessary it is, because I came out to England, and I had my degree in history. I'm looking for jobs related to the degree that I have, and then, you know, I had a company take a chance on me, and then I did not let them down. Like, if you get that opportunity, that foot in the door, and you don't take full advantage of it, then you know, that's bad. But let's see. I know more and more people that just skips it. Domain expertise is more important than programming chops, in my opinion. Morris' haircut looks fine, like a Marine. Marine is a soldier. Thank you very much. There we go. That's me. So that's the Discord group for those of you guys who do want to join it. Wildfire Game. So way to upgrade. Need to upgrade my machine. I think it's taken way too long to compile from Unity, Xcode, then to archive and push it to the store. So yeah, I got a new I got a MacBook Air this past week. So I've been sort of, you know, over the last year trying to you know, get a few new tools. I mean, it's kind of, you know, yeah, just sometimes you need to have those tools that compile quickly. I've got this desktop here. When I upgraded, I was like, I do not want to run out of disk space again. I do not want to run out of memory. I don't want to have any more memory issues. I had a MacBook Pro, a early 2013 MacBook Pro. It had 512 gigabyte SSD, but most of everything I did was on external hard drives. However, I still kept filling up that SSD. A lot of it had to do with the iOS simulator caches. So, like, at which you use Clean My Mac, you use all these other tools. They don't touch any of that stuff, so you have to go in and do that. And the hundreds of archives that remained in the archive storage of apps that I've compiled or put onto test flight, stuff like that. So when I got this computer, this desktop one, I got 72 gigs of RAM in it. So, and I think I could go up to 128. So it's like I don't have any issues anymore. But I did run out of disk space last week, which was annoying. But let's see. Theo Taylor says, I got an iMac over the weekend, 25-inch though. Well, or 21.5 inch. That's pretty good. Ali Samdi says, Eric, I want your advice. Okay. All right. Let me get ready. Ad serving is limited in my account for more than 2 months now. A week ago, I've read that AdMob policies tried to apply them in all of my apps. Now the issue is still present. In your opinion, should I remove all ad units and create new ones? If it's something on your account, then I don't think removing the ad units and adding them again is going to help. Let's see. A week ago, you removed all the ones. Have you? When you followed the advice, did you submit to? I mean, have you tried to contact them? Because this is something that they're doing. I think the danger is if it's a really long review process, and you remove them, you wouldn't want it to start over again. However, I would kind of think it kind of depends on what have they sent you any information on this yet? Because I know they're reviewing everything. Mugu Kiburu says, "Yellow everyone, yellow Karubu." Could you also pin the link to the top? You can also pin the link to the top, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I don't have the YouTube one up, but you're right. Okay. Yes, I could do that. It's in there somewhere though. It's in the chat. Let's see. Do you have any student loan debt? No, I do not. I was in the Army, so I had the GI Bill. So the going to the I was in the Army for 4 years, so they did pay me to go to school, but I also didn't go to a very expensive school. I went to I started at community college. So I went to community college at Leeward Community College in Hawaii, and then I went to San Antonio Community College for the second year. Then I went to University of Texas at San Antonio, and my final year I finished at Central Missouri State University. There's a lot of moving around there. So when I moved out here, I had my degree in history. I majored in history with a minor in psychology. I came to England and could not find a job anywhere, mainly because it was primarily American history, and I was certified to teach history in high school, so like high school history. And then we had a baby, and so we moved here, and then I couldn't find a job anywhere. I got a job at a factory, and I tell the same story all the time. And sometimes I know that like you tell the same stories, but I got a job in a factory packing yogurt into boxes from like 11 till 7. Yeah, it was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And on the way back, I would get a newspaper, and I would apply to all these different jobs, any jobs. In fact, the reason I'm in IT now, the reason I'm a software developer now, is because they hired me. It was like a kind of thing where it's like I didn't have, like, I went in without the experience, but it was like they and this is why I give this advice all the time. When I talk to people who are looking for jobs and they're like, oh, I applied to this one, but I'm waiting to hear back, or I applied to another one, I'm waiting to hear back, or I read this one, but it's like, oh, they wanted this skill and I didn't have it. I didn't care about any of that. I was just like, I'm gonna apply to everything, unless it was like seriously, like I definitely didn't think I could do it. So I applied to loads. I was doing like 10 CVs a day for anything, right? And I hardly had any interviews. I mean, it was just like it was depressing. It was a very sad time in my life where I'm like, I had a baby. I was making minimum wage, working in a factory. Every night I was standing on the side of a conveyor belt, putting yogurt into boxes. And then I had an interview at Blockbuster, at a night manager at Blockbuster, and I didn't get it because I don't know. I mean, it's kind of sad when you get your degree, and as soon as you get your degree, you move to another country, and you go to these interviews, and like nobody wants you. They're just like, and all those grades and everything that you work towards, like they don't even matter. Like, because I said, oh, I got a 3.8 GPA, and they're like, oh, I don't know what that means. I'm like, okay, it's good. Well, it's okay. Like, it's not perfect, but it's okay. And it was like kind of like, why did I work so hard? Why did I do all this stuff? And then I had this like I said, like 2 interviews. One of was like a ticket collector on the train, on Thames trains, and I didn't get that one either. And it was just sort of I was thinking, this is my life now. I'm going to be the guy who works at the factory, there's nothing wrong with it, but like while everybody else was still, they were doing the same job as me, and they were just carrying on with their lives. I was like, every day I would get home and I would do these CVs and I send them out. And then I got this open evening at Canary Wharf. I didn't even have a suit that fit me, so I had to buy a suit from £8, which is about $12, I guess, at the time. So it was like I bought a suit for £8 at a charity shop, and I went and interviewed, and I had my Army shoes. I was like I felt like the biggest fraud ever. I didn't lie, but I was like, I could, my CV said I had WordPerfect experience, and it didn't have. I knew how to like basically type. Like I would make it bold. Like, I didn't even know the shortcuts. I could like highlight it, but it was like kind of a thing where they kind of gave me this, like it was just going to this open evening, and when they gave me this opportunity, it was like I read everything. I was like, they had this, I went to a library because I couldn't afford to buy books. I remember the first time I got a book about Java. Sorry if I tell this. I went to I went to the library in Oxford, like on the bus, after they said they would hire me. And I was like, oh my God, now I'm really in trouble, right? So I went to the library and I got a book on Java. Now they knew I didn't know anything, but I thought, if I can't learn this, but it was kind of like the saying, like I kind of convinced them that I could learn this, but I wasn't even sure if I could, because computer programmers, they're those smart guys. Like, I'm not one of them. And I can remember getting this book on Java, and then like reading the first chapter, and just seeing all this stuff and thinking, I am so screwed. Like, it's going to be the biggest embarrassment ever. And it was a lot of embarrassing moments. I remember, the first week they gave me this job of saying, okay, well, we're not sure what to do with it. Like, because the guy, my manager, he hated me. Like, because he was like, he was American and I was American, and I think that caused a bit of friction. Like everyone thought we'd be buddies, but like I think it was kind of like that was his special thing, and then all of a sudden I was there on his team. He's not the person who interviewed me or hired me, so they basically just gave me to him, and he's like, I don't know what to do with you. And so they gave me this task of copying things from, just copy paste. This is the kind of stuff I give my team sometimes. Okay, copy this stuff from this Excel database, from Excel into Access. And I go, okay, all right. I'm thinking, and I said, well, what's the difference between Excel and Access? And this guy who was showing me, he looked at me like I was a moron. This was like 1998, so it's like, I didn't learn it in school or anything. The guy looked at me like I was a moron, and which I never want to be in that situation again. Like, that was enough to get me to read as much as possible. And because I said, what's the difference between Access and Excel? And he goes, well, Excel's a spreadsheet and Access is a database. And I said, oh, okay, all right. No idea what that meant. It was like, and then so I started reading everything. I getting books, and even like that's the thing when those of you guys who are trying to learn something new, you get that bit where you kind of got it, you kind of got a grasp of it. Like, okay, I kind of see what this is, and then it was just like reading and reading and reading. And it was strange how it wasn't that long before people were asking me my advice on things, and people who didn't know that. My lack of experience were coming to me for advice, because I assumed that every programmer read everything, and they don't. Most of them they do what they need to do, and then they learn what they need to learn for their job. And I was reading like MSDN every day, the Microsoft website. I was checked out all the books I could get. I was like, when I started getting a bit of money, I was buying all the books, and I was a guy who would always carrying a computer book with him. These big, huge, like the JavaScript Bible. I remember reading that, and people would say like, I don't know how you could read that dry stuff, but it was like, dude, because like it was like that hunger, that my back's against the wall. It's like the alternative to this is me going and telling my wife and kids or my wife and one child, my baby, that, well, I wouldn't tell him, he wouldn't understand, but just going back in the humiliation of saying I wasn't smart enough to do it. Like, I wasn't, I didn't work hard enough or whatever. So I was a guy who worked until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and then came home on the train. So 2 hours, like it was 2 hours there, 2 hours back. So a lot of reading time. And I didn't have smartphones then. So I was able to read lots of this kind of stuff. And, and my salary kept going up and up and up. And then I went work someplace else. And then I became became a contractor. And then it became this thing where you have to know the latest thing. Like, you have to know, you have to keep up with stuff. You have to have a grasp of stuff. Some of the contracts I worked on, because I was, I was a person that the managing directors would call into the management would call into an office and say, Eric, what can you tell us about Silverlight or whatever? Like, we've been hearing this stuff. And then, it's not like I said, oh, no, my boss never let me work on it. It's like, no, I had to have an opinion. So that was my whole thing. So this is why it's interesting when we have these conversations here on the live stream, because we're talking about stuff that's varied. The fact that you guys are interested in this is like my kind of people. Like, I've worked with a lot of people who are just like, when I go home, I can't bother to be looking at a computer or whatever. They're just there to do the job, right? They're getting into it because that's you know, because it's, you know, they thought it would pay well and they thought they'd get into it. But once I got into it, I loved it. Like, it was like when I created my first desktop application. Well, I mean, it was kind of a thrill. It was like, look, man, it wasn't a Hello World, because that seemed like the Hello World programs seem like they're so patronizing. Like, oh, look, you created your own program. But like, no, it's like I remember creating this thing, and it was like, oh, the spaghetti code. Like, if you guys think back to your first programs, like, you know, how bad they were. Like, it was that kind of like, but it was like that thrill of, you know, this was like, I created this. Like, it was like, you know, putting this over there, that was my idea. The flow of how this thing works, like, that was my idea. Or I'll discuss it with somebody else, and I'll go, you know, and there was like some people who were just like, some people were like, you work with developers where there's a lot of ego, and they're like, you know, like, you just can't get along with them. You work with other ones which are like, you know, they're interested in it. And there was like, I know that there were places where we go to lunch, and you know, we're working on our different projects. We go to lunch, and there's some people who when we go to lunch, we talk about technology. Like, they're just like, they're interested in it. They're saying, hey, have you seen the Longhorn, which was going to be .NET, I think, at the time. It's like, you know, have you seen that Longhorn they're going to do? Like, I was checking it out last night. And then there's other people who are just like, you know, they weren't into it. They're like, you know, oh, you know what? It works. And so it was that. And I love doing what I do. If you guys can't tell, I love software development. I love being able to start with something that doesn't work at all, and then you just sit there. Even when you're struggling, and even when there's a bug, and even when you're like, you're like, dude, this is driving me crazy. I can't believe it's already. Did I just spend 4 hours on this? And you're just like pacing around going, but you know that you're working towards it, because the next time you're not going to have that kind of thing. And everything is building upon, and you go from one language to another language, and it's like your level of competence goes from here down to here, but not down to here where it was at the beginning, because you're like, I get the structures and how they should all work, but you're going back up there. And why am I answering that? Have I ever had student loan debt? No, I don't, because my degree was in history. And I went to Missouri. Sorry, I know I tell that story too often. You guys must be tired of hearing that. But like, I could talk about that forever. I love what I do. You know, it's when I think about it, if Blockbuster Video had hired me for the night manager for £11,000 a year, I don't know where I'd be now. Like, it would just be. I would hope that the ambition that wasn't there back then would have somehow sprouted out at some point since then. But it was making those big moves. Like, once you make a big move like that, and then another big move, it changes the whole course of your life. And the thing is, the fact that I was working in this dairy wearing white, in the factory, wearing white overalls, white wellies, a white paper hat, and gloves, and packing everything like that, and just, with just, doing this manual job, and that closed a few years later anyway, so I don't know where I'd be. But the fact that I was going and getting all the newspapers because it was 1998, and then sending these CVs out, that was almost crazy. Like, it's like, because you're reaching beyond your station. And it's the kind of thing I wouldn't tell other people, because it's like, you're like, well, what? Like, it was almost like I was embarrassed that I was doing it. It's like, for any of you guys who put out an app and you're like, you don't tell people about it because, you don't tell people about it because what would other people say? I totally get it. Like, but that's how you get better at things. You have to make those bold moves and into a certain direction, and then when they work, then you start thinking about the next bold move. Sorry about all that yammering away. Let's see. I essentially built a prototype part of their app with some new functionality as part of my application. See, that's cool. Okay, this is another thing about finding a job. Okay, and then I'm going to stop talking about it. Like, a few years later, I was looking for another job, and I interviewed at this one place, and they were saying, how did you go from being a in the Army to being software developer? Because it was the Army and then university. Or how'd you go from being a substitute teacher to being that? And I was telling them the story, and then the guy I was talking to, he was the managing director of this company. What he had done, he says, I have an engineering background, so it wasn't really software, But what he did was he wrote a book on SQL, and he didn't know anything about SQL, but he got like 10 different books and he read them, like enough to become an expert on it. Well, so he thought. So he was able to write his own, which basically taking and summarizing and playing around with it. And that was quite a good addition to his CV, and I just thought that was really cool. I've never done anything like that myself, though. Or did you in the past? I was wondering if I should go get him out paying $120,000 in student loan debt from a computer science degree. I would say no myself, but it's up to you. Surgeon, how's it going? Yeah, I got 9 thumbs down now. I'm really kicking with gas. In fact, if anybody wants to give me a thumbs down, go knock yourself out. Yes. Surgeon, good evening. Who's that handsome man in the new haircut? Looking good. Thank you very much. I was, just went in this morning. Couldn't wait to get the haircut. WG is like $6,000 a year with regional accreditation. No degree here either. Caller programming. Hey, how's it going? Sorry. I love the UK. Yeah, it's pretty good. Let's see. How do you find your first client? Suppose if I'm an Android game developer. So, okay. So the main thing, Trending 10, is you have to find out who's looking for Android game developers and why would they choose you. Like, first of all, who's looking for it? How are they going to find you? Or are you going to find them first? And why would they choose you over somebody else? If the why would they choose you over somebody else would be mainly related to your portfolio. If you could tell them we produce these apps and these apps and these apps, and we've had this amount of downloads, or we've been using this kind of stuff, and here's an example of the quality of our work, then that's going to go a long way to than just having promises. Also, you got to think, where would people go if they're looking for an Android developer? Some people might go onto Upwork, but if you go onto Upwork, you're competing with loads of other people. So I would think we talked about this before. You got inbound and outbound marketing. If you're going to do outbound marketing, you need to go and just cast your net wide and find out people who they might be looking for what you do. Inbound is it takes a lot more time. That's you develop your portfolio, putting out content that basically says what you do. Think about SEO and searching, and how people, when somebody's searching for, I'm looking for an Android developer in whatever town you're in, or whatever county you're in, or whatever country you're in, how are you going to rank in the SEO rankings for that? And then start watching those SEO stats when they get there. And then also, if you are getting visitors to your website, how can you minimize the friction of them actually coming to you with a proposal or something like that? So what I find is that we just had a phone number on ours. And first of all, if people phoned me, I was like, I didn't really in the beginning, I didn't have like a really good, they didn't have a good experience because I didn't know what to ask them. They didn't know what to say. And it was kind of this awkward conversation, right? Whereas the end, we went with a form on our website. So they could just fill in a form. So at least that's got the ball started off. We asked all the questions that were relevant. We could schedule a Zoom call. We could give them a ballpark beforehand, so we don't have to like waste any time there. Let's see. Matthew Creek says, last month I was losing a ton due to ad fraud. It's fixed now, I think. Oh, that's good. Morris says, oops, I thought you were in the Army. I was a Navy brat. Yeah, I'm a Navy brat too, actually. But I joined the Army. As the educational system keeps losing credibility, it's going to be less and less important. Why learn from a bad college when you can learn from the best people online? Yeah, the only thing I would think is that if you were looking at 2 people and all things being equal, would you go with the one with the degree? But like if you were going through 2 people and one, like all things aren't equal. You never have somebody who has the same experience on both sides. So if you could demonstrate you have all that experience, so. I don't know how it got fixed though. Let's see. A lot of big companies have tried have hard requirement on degree, regardless of what the degree is in. I've got exemptions sometimes because I've been programming for 30+ years. Sometimes not. Yeah, like I said, a lot of times what they say they want, whenever you're looking at a job listing, and they say they want X, Y, and Z, you don't know how many people are applying for that, and sometimes they might lower their standards if they don't have a lot of people. But better, instead of AdMob, you can choose any other. Morris Taylor, can you teach me programming? There you go, Morris. I need my apps on my own. It's my aim. Training 10, I've not much done mobile programming. I was just checking out Ray Wenderlich's website. Oh yeah, he's got a really good one. Let's see. Uh, Ali Samdi says in AdMob, the contact us button no longer works. They stop responding. Not just for me, but for all AdMob accounts. I just want to know why AdMob works on unuseful apps. Very frustrating. Have you tried to, they have those, they have their live streams every so often. They're little, they're not called live streams, they're called webinars. They're webinars. Have you heard this term, webinar? They're calling webinars, but they do have those like AdMob Live. If you could get on there, you might be able to ask them directly. Let's see, is that free? Okay. Angelina, hola, Angelina. Angelina of Zamarin. Senora Angelina de Zamarin. Is that right? See, what do you mean unuseful? How long does it take to make an Android game with Unity? I don't use Unity, but kind of depends on. So what does that have to do with AdMob? Creek. Prank clones. Okay, Ali Samdi says prank and clone apps. There's a lot of them in Google Play. Okay, it doesn't have anything to do with Unity. Oh, with AdMob. Rondier, it feels so good when you accomplish it. I agree. Thanks, Rondier. Let's see. Okay. Like the instant responding of schools. Oh, like the okay. Mugo Krubus. I remember 6 years ago writing "Hello World" in HTML file and seeing it on a browser. It felt like a whole new paradigm shift took place. I remember seeing the first time I learned HTML. Actually, I didn't learn HTML. I learned of Front Page Express. Oh, this is embarrassing. And I thought that was the first time I realized that I could do my own website. Like it was like because I remember when I thought that's like you probably have to, buy something or whatever. And I didn't realize it was so easy that you could just like use text and do it in a browser. And even when I show people like that, and not only that, you can right click and view source and see that stuff. Like it was just, I remember I couldn't sleep that night because I thought I could do a website. What kind of website would I do? Adrian Sanchez. Hey, Adrian, how's it going? Eric, advice you can give me? I'm about to create an Apple and Google accounts to upload my first app as a freelance for a client. Okay, yeah. I think my advice would be, Adrian, is like set up your Apple and Google accounts, but make sure your clients do their own Apple and Google accounts because you can't host all of their apps on your account. First of all, there's going to be a lot of privacy stuff that you're going to want them to approve, right? And also, you're going to get to a point where they're going to start saying that your apps are too similar to each other, or you've got too many of them. Like especially if you took like one application, you created like a similar one for another client, then it's going to be difficult. And and I've heard from other people who've contacted me, like just asking my advice. So they've actually had, as a business, they've had like they market their apps to other businesses, and then they had the situation where they had to do that. So what you want to do is, like what I do is I have an email, and I need to look at this to make sure everything still works, but it just has like a couple of links in it saying, okay, here's a link that shows you how to set up an iTunes Connect account. And maybe it is outdated. Like here's how to set up an App Store account. Here's how to set a Google Play account. And then I'll have screenshots of, and then go into users and permissions, add these users or just myself as a app administrator or whatever. It changes from time to time. And then that way I get permission from that way. Sometimes I will have clients send me their usernames and passwords and say, can you just do all this for me? Or can you set it up for me? And my answer is usually no, because like I'm not going to go and approve, logged in as them, approve their terms and conditions and all that kind of stuff. It's just one of those things like, why should I lie about reading it when they should be lying about having read it? It's just one of those things. So I would do that, but you still need to have your own account anyway, because that way they can add you as a user, and then you could have different access to that. Another thing, and this is kind of, I keep running into this problem, is if you get your clients to set up an App Store account, make sure they do it as a company, or make sure they do it where they're allowed to add additional users to it. Because I have the thing where I could get access to App Store Connect, but I cannot get access to developer.apple.com. So generating a certificate I can't do on my own, and me talking like a normal mere mortal like into like here's how to generate an Apple certificate. It's like, dude, it's like, I might as well, like a surgeon talking you through surgery. So okay, first generate a key, then you go up to like certificate, whatever. Go to key store manager. Is it key store manager? Keychain manager, and certificate profile. There's like all these different steps in it. So let's see. Like I said, a degree is a tiebreaker for sure. Yeah, I'd imagine so. If the company value a degree more than the engagement, I don't really want to work there anyway. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's definitely. I agree with that too. Adam Majors here. Hey, Adam, how's it going? Alta Weaver 8K said, what is the best strategy for the fresh graduate with interest in Android development as well as doing other part-time work? I would think that you start developing Android applications, even if it's something that you put stuff on the App Store or on the Play Store. And it's, you're either going to do one or two. You're going to do it to earn revenue, or you're going to do it as a portfolio piece. A portfolio piece would be like, something that you can give to people and they can see. There's certain applications we've done, which we kind of just consider them like a portfolio thing. It was like kind of like we're not really making any money from it, but it's the kind of thing I can give to a client so they can see if they want to see what's possible. But there's always a hope that maybe it'll take off. But it's still kind of like, even if it doesn't, it's a portfolio piece. But at least you could do that, and then you can start looking for other work too. U.S. government requires contractors a 4-year degree, so they create artificial market for their government-backed student debt loans. Oh yeah, if you're going to work for the government, there's going to be all kinds of stuff that you probably have to go through. Security clearances, all kinds of stuff too. I see Matthew says, I tried transferring my Unity app to Xcode, but Google mobile ads are crashing the build. It works till it gets to the Mac. Yeah, I think sounds like you'd be in stack trace land. It probably off the top of my head, I would say running podfile.install, going in and actually in the command line and doing pod install and making sure that it's actually loaded that up. DCZT says, while submitting an update to the App Store, I got a message that the reviews are going to take longer, so I searched on Google and found out what happens when you violate something. What do you do now? Just wait for them to come back. I've had it where they take longer. Like, I've had it take over a week, and usually it's not good. Usually what it means, for me, every single time that I've had that, it's had to do with the privacy policy not having enough in it. Like you have to have a privacy policy because of whatever information you're collecting, and they might be reviewing that, and then you have to go through and make those changes. But it's not like, it's not that bad. Installtech.com, is that okay? Installstech.com says, Eric, I've been out of the game now for 2 years, but I've been thinking about getting back in. Keep pulling me back in. All my life I try to get out. What would you say the most important change is in the last 2 years? I think it's mainly the, Google, I don't know if it's been 2 years, but Google indexing is getting a lot harder. Like just to, on Google Play side, like you put stuff in there and it takes quite a while. Like it takes like over a week for your app to be indexed, to even be showing up. So, probably the biggest change, you got the GDPR constraints, although I guess that was 2018. So you got the GDPR stuff. If you're doing stuff on the iOS, so on the iOS side, the big changes are, now they start asking like, what information are you collecting about the user, and you have to put all this stuff in there. That's kind of like a new thing. They got the IDFA stuff coming out with the AdMob stuff, which I haven't really started looking into yet. But I know, like, just doing a lot of the client applications that I'm doing, like I have to go through and say, what information are we collecting and why are we collecting it? Whereas before you just have that in your privacy statement. Now you actually have to do it through App Store Connect. Through Google Play, it seems like you got all that stuff. Like you have to identify if it's a news app. You've got, the Google Play developer console has changed so much in the last couple of years. It's almost like strange to do it. Like they've gotten even more, like in my opinion, they've got even more difficult to use than the App Store has, because you're like, you have that little checklist of all the things you're supposed to do, and which is really important. And whereas before, like I knew exactly where, when you add countries to the countries list, where the prices are and everything like that. Now it's kind of, everything's kind of hidden there. But let's see. I think they're delaying everything, Matthew says. Yeah, probably. MCYKs, I'm a big fan of yours. Thanks very much. OF Outfielder says, hi Eric, what do you think about skipping uni and working on my app company straight after finishing my A-levels? I'm currently 17 and I've had over 45,000 downloads, so it's a real consideration. Yeah, I mean, but do you have to skip uni for it? I think it's like, I wouldn't feel comfortable telling anybody to skip university, but unless you're gonna go in like to severe debt or something like that. I think if you're gonna go like, and then maybe. But I still think that, like with my kids are going to university, and they've taken out their student loans too, which I don't think it's as expensive in England as it is in the States. But let's see. Eric, what ad medium networks do you use in AdMob? So at the moment I'm not using any, but I was using Facebook Audience Network and not Apoteal. What's it? What's it called? Yeah, and another one. I can't remember what it's called because I stopped using it. What does your wife do for a living? I'm no longer married, so and it's that's not really relevant. So, but I appreciate the question. All the way with Eric, thanks for the for feedback. I'm fresh from school and feel to capitalize on Android development for sure. Cool. Let's see. Adam Major says, do you use any new funding choices, consent form, or using legacy? Funding choices consent. I'm not sure what that is. What is that? Should I know what that is? Is that on the App Store? Funding choices. I haven't come across that. Is that for like in-app purchases or? Well, I was gonna say if anybody wanted to come on the live stream, you could go and you can mention it in the Discord server. Let's have a look. I haven't even looked over here. Let's see, Ghosttree Live. Oh, nice, sir. Thanks, thanks, Ghosttree, for putting that into the general channel. So, any other questions? Any other questions before we wrap this up? Let's see. Naki Logic says, big fan of your work. Please keep doing what you do. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Naki Logic. I know I have not been doing a lot of videos lately. So, let's see. This is the consent form for GDPR. So for me, the GDPR form, like what, this is a consent form for GDPR. I've been using on native Android. I've been using the one that AdMob provided a few years ago, and on the other ones, I've been using just like my own. So. Like I have a lot of stuff that's still in Silver 2D, and I'm sending it through the allowed personalized ads and actually storing that like locally as a variable, so it comes up with that pop-up and everything like that. So I've done my own, basically basing it on the GDPR consent form that AdMob did a few years ago. So, but that was me. So, how do you market your apps? Well, I mean, it was. At the moment I'm not doing a whole lot of marketing towards them, but it was doing a lot of ads, and trying to go to the cheapest cost per click ads that you can, trying to get it out there as much as possible. I did some stuff with like just reaching out to people on Twitter, trying to get the people in there to find those and that kind of stuff too. Let's see, AppLovin. That's right. It was MC. That was AppLovin. That was the one I was trying to do. Do you still use AppLovin for ads in your apps? No, I don't, because I wasn't getting like anything from it. So I decided just to remove that. Let's see. Intercession, thanks. OF says, reason for skipping uni would be opportunity costs, lost time, and because I find myself itching to work on apps year round. Yeah, it's kind of one of these things where that was my thing with quitting the day job. Was like, I would like to be able to do this full time, but there was a time when that wasn't possible. So like I still needed to pay the bills, so I still had to work on the apps from whatever 4:30 till 6 in the morning, and then also at night. And it was just kind of this thing where it's like working around the existing schedule, right? And to me, being able to do it full time was a luxury. It was like I earned that. Like I got to that point. It wasn't like the reason that it took off was because I had that time. It was because they had taken off that it allowed me to have that time. You know, and even then I kind of thought when I'm able to work on the apps like full time, whenever we're going to Overpass full time, I'm just going to get so much done. But it's strange how, you know, the days got filled up all the same with other stuff. So, let's see. My computer, OF says, my computer science teacher questioned if I should actually go to university considering what I've done with apps. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, you could try that. I mean, you could always go to university later, but then it depends on what kind of opportunities you have now. If you were to go later on, would it be more difficult? Because life takes over. Like if for whatever reason you wanted to do something else later and it did require a degree, life takes over. You get married, you have kids, you got like rent and mortgages and all that other kind of stuff. So like if it's that's a lost opportunity too if you skip that moment where you're primed to do it. But yeah, I guess it's a decision you're gonna have to make. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of university. like I don't think, God, thank God I went to university because now I'm so smart. I think, I did it and I'm thinking, God, like nobody's ever asked me about my degree ever. Rachel Reed, hey Rachel, how's it going? Rachel Reed says, is it possible to have a monthly subscription with a discount as an incentive to use the app more? I don't know. You would have, like, so are you saying so like if they use the app more, then you would give them a discount on the subscription? I wouldn't. Like, I don't know if it works that way. I think it goes from, they pay and then they get access. Not they pay and get access, but then you could somehow, like, I don't think there's an API that will allow you to lower the cost for specific users the next month unless you put them on some other tier. I'm not sure about that, Rachel. I'm not sure if I get that, because you can learn the skills for app development online, and computer science is not the same as software engineering. I know look, the degree is just, it is a, I hate to say this because I know people out there who have like real degrees. Like every time I say I don't have a computer science degree and I start to talk about how I never needed one, there's somebody out there with a computer science degree going, oh yeah, I'm tired of all these guys who think they know everything. But I kind of think it's that thing that it's just like, it's like the driver's license. Like I can drive, but I can drive fine without a license. But if I ever get pulled over, that's a different one, because like you're not doing anything wrong if you like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a piece of paper and it's an expensive piece of paper. So like I think if you could not do it, definitely not do it. But if you're like in a position now where like if you didn't do it now and you decided to do it later, would you miss out on that opportunity? I think that would be my question. Like now when you might still be living at home, or you got your parents to help you out, or you've got you could easily get a student loan because you're just coming out of high school, or you've kind of got your life is geared towards that, and I went to university after the Army. So I went into the Army, I went to university, and I was 22 years old when I went to university, and I was married. So like I didn't have any of the cool partying years that I hear so much about. I didn't have any of like all the debauchery that I wanted to get up to that I missed out on. So there's that to consider too. Let's see. What about Unity ads? Never used them. PC World says, what's your opinion on a beginner pursuing Android path? Also, what's your option? What's your option on Java or Kotlin? I think what's my opinion on beginner pursuing Android path? I think it's everybody who starts on the Android path is a beginner to begin with. And would it be Java or Kotlin? I would go Kotlin just because it's the newer thing. It's but again, I usually use Java. Fox says, "Are you planning on releasing any new apps in order to do less client work?" Yes. Well, I was talking about this on Discord the other day in one of the chats. It's like I'm working on. It's a new application. It was more like a framework for corporate clients. So it's not necessarily client work, but it's having a product that I can market to them. So, but I definitely need to go through and do some more stuff on there. Corflux says college are great for socializing, I guess. Yeah, I never really had that. Bizwajit, hey, how's it going? Adam Medium says PC World Kotlin is newer, easier, and simpler than Java. Free CS degrees online. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I went to university, and when I went to university, I was like, I had been through the army. I was married. I didn't enjoy it as like a normal. I think the thing I feel like I kind of missed out, even though I went and did it. Is that I think I missed out on those years of being just a young adult, being out and having that freedom for the first time, and being around other people who are on the same kind of thing. And all I know is what I see from movies, and it's like it should be the party years. But I could be wrong. Same thing, better teachers. Patrick says, I did not go to university. I avoided low debt, but my salary was significantly lower for a long time when compared to kids who had a degree. It took years to get caught up. Okay, that's interesting. Morris Taylor says, from what I've seen, over 30 years plus years in IT, a 4-year degree is worth about $30,000 more per year. Ooh, that's pretty good. And a 6-year degree, master's, is about $45,000 per year. Okay, that's pretty compelling. Do you pay anything for it? What's the cost? Patrick, working for an employer, did you building your own startup? Tamil City Central, hey, how's it going? It says, I studied civil engineering for 4 years, but for the past 3 years, no work I gone. If I start learning a new app development, will it helpful to me to earn and run in the future? I think becoming an app, the big difference between doing your own app or your own startup is that you're in charge of bringing in the work and making sure that people are paying you to do what you do and making sure you're good enough to do it. You have to convince lots of people to pay that. Like, you have to convince a lot of people of that, and you have to be noticed by a lot of people. If you're looking for a job, you have to convince one person that you're really good at what you do, and you have to have it's a much easier thing, but it's a lot less stress. Corporate. I'm in the UK, so I could take out a student loan. Therefore, the cost isn't the main concern. But the other benefit is at this age is that more freedom without mortgage, etc., to build a startup. That's true. Yeah, but that's true. Working for employers. What do you make? What do you make to be self-employed? Let's see. OF, what map did you make? Can you mention it? How many multi-million-dollar startups started in university? Yeah, I guess there's quite a few of them. Yeah, I think when I was in high school, I was not surrounded by. So I worked in the McDonald's in Springfield, Massachusetts. I grew up in San Diego, but last year we moved to Springfield, Massachusetts, and I was working at McDonald's, and the people who were going to university, they left. It was like they went, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. I thought I would just stay at the McDonald's I worked at because the other people who weren't going to university, those are the people I was going to hang out with. And the Army was a different choice. And it was like definitely not I never grew up thinking I want to be a soldier. But it was like that kind of, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my life? And then when I did join the Army, as soon as I joined the Army, I thought, this is not me. This is a huge mistake. But that wasn't the case. I think everybody feels that way. Like I was a very good soldier. I was very good at doing it. But it was kind of that feeling that everybody else seemed to be more competent. Everybody else seemed to be stronger. Like they were they were tougher. They were all this kind of stuff. And I was kind of like scared kid still. But it's funny because you look at it probably everybody was a scared kid. But why was I saying that? But yeah, I would think if I hung around and didn't do anything, I would imagine the people I was surrounded with would not be the kind of people who are like, just seeing the ambition of others makes you more ambitious yourself, surrounding yourself with those people. Anything less and you don't get a high yielding app, I would stay in school and both. Oh, if you make an app and it makes more than 80,000 years, I would go for it. Yeah. Because that's the thing about app income is you don't know how long it's going to last. You have to constantly be innovating and stuff like that. So I am going to wrap up this live stream. Everybody, thanks for joining. Thanks for everyone who's joined on the Discord server. I'm going to try to put some stuff on there. If you put questions out there to the group, it's kind of fun. Like every so often I'll go on the voice chat just to see what's going on. And I really appreciate you guys showing up. I'm sorry about all the rambling about stuff earlier this evening. And have a fantastic week ahead. Stay healthy and stay safe. And I'll talk to you guys next week.